Okay, we're recording. And James and Jason, we do record this. So, all right. So roll call: Peg Zugaby,
Here.
Tim Riley,
Yeah.
Howard Hellman,
Here.
Eric Dranoff.
I am here.
Okay, so we have one item on the agenda. It's a consideration of the inducement resolution for Spring Valley Preservation. What I'd like to do, normally what I do is introduce the project, but because this is a tax exempt bond and there's some technical nuance to it, what I'd like to do is ask Ron to give kind of that initial overview, and then we're going to hand it off to our guest today to kind of discuss the project in more detail and answer questions. So Ron,
All right. Hit it,
that
Ron.
works for you. Okay. Maybe Ron.
Okay.
All right, Ron, did you hear me?
No.
Tell us about the project, Ron.
Right.
Okay. I'm losing my, just there. There we go. It's an affordable housing project. There are two facilities, which I identified in the application. The purchase price is about 25 million and change. The applicants will be putting about $11 million into improvements. The project will be seeking not only tax exempt bonds, but tax credits, which they obtain through a different state agency. So this would be a little bit more complicated than just a straight bond issue, but the IDA would be working with a team, including a state agency and HUD for the tax benefits. This IDA hasn't done a lot of affordable housing projects, but over the past several years, there's been a lot of support through legal court decisions that a housing project can be a commercial project, and that an IDA board's discretion as to determination of fact as to whether it's a commercial project is given great deference. Among the things, in addition to retaining employment, the IDA can consider benefits to the community, such as the effect of the available quality affordable housing on the commerce in the neighborhood. It can look to benefits that are different and apart from the jobs created themselves.
Okay, so a quick question, Ron. Not question, observation. This already is an affordable. These properties are already affordable housing, correct?
Yes, but I believe their eligibility for tax credits maybe is expiring. And typically what happens when that happens is that the project becomes no longer affordable because of no longer availability of the credits and the HUD support. So it usually gets sold, renovated, and started up again as a new project with new benefits. I'll defer to the applicant for a more detailed explanation about that. But I think of note is that almost 50%, an amount equal to 50% of the purchase price of the properties themselves is being put into renovations and improvements according to the application.
Maybe, Ron, I don't want to, let me just come in, toss in a couple things that to make sure that we're aware, and then I guess we can turn it over to the applicant. apart from, they're seeking, approval or inducement today on, tax exempt bond financing. They're looking for sales tax exemption on the capital investment regarding the renovations and such. They're looking for the mortgage recording tax exemption as part of the tax bonds. And they also have checked off, and I want to make this distinction, is really the key thing, is they've checked off at our suggestion that they're seeking a pilot. There is an existing pilot on the properties involving, I think, the town and village that they're looking to have simply assigned to them should the project go forward. But because that's undetermined, we suggested that they may want to at least, request and be induced for, if approved, for an IDA pilot, should they need to take that option. And since it's really ultimately in the hands of the taxing entities, whether they receive a pilot or not, that was the rationale for that. One other element to it is they ultimately, are looking at about, requesting about $27 million in tax exempt bonds. Each year, the IDA is allocated a bond allocation amount of, in our case, it's about 11.9 million. So if the project goes forward, if the project's induced, part of the process will be us going to, it's our obligation to do this, would be to go to the state and ask for an increase in the volume cap of about $15 million, so approximately $15 million. I've had a preliminary discussion with the person at the state, very informal, regarding the matter, just to clarify the process and such. And, he indicated that, kind of walked me through it and said, that's something obviously they would entertain. They haven't made a commitment, but it was a positive discussion in that regard, but the process to be determined.
All right, let me ask the applicants, what would be the rents when this is completed? And I know that that's based off of the median income, right? That's how it's calculated. But what are you estimating the rents for these to be?
Well, they'll have tax credits on it, which will restrict it to 60%. AMI would be the most that that could potentially be charged. But the residents that are, we aren't, the residents pay 30% of their income.
Let me just clarify. If someone goes in there and asks to rent a 1-bedroom apartment, what will that cost them per month?
James, do you have that in front of you?
Yes, so basically based on the 2021, the 60% AMI level for the 1-bedroom is $1,343 per month.
And does that fluctuate depending on what the applicant's individual income is? Or is that the rate everyone's charged for that 1 bedroom?
So I was going to add the caveat there. It will depend on what their income is, if they are income qualified for the site, and then they would only contribute 30% of their income to that rent.
Yeah, so we do have some that are going to be below that level that are at the property, but there would be none. That would be the maximum that could be charged, but there will be some that are below that level.
And I imagine a lot of your tenants are Section 8 voucher, correct?
Well, the Section 8, yeah, so Section 8 vouchers, then they would pay 30% of their income, and then the voucher is determined as a payment standard determined by where the voucher is coming from, which is usually based on an FMR. But the resident would pay 30% of their income, which will be less than that $1,300. They'll probably, the average income is significantly below the 60% level.
So is the Section 8 voucher above what the tenant would pay?
Yeah, well, that's at the FMR is James, is the FMR above it's a little bit above the
That's correct.
60%.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have a voucher holder, then the property would receive potentially more than that, but the resident would pay less because they only pay 30% of their income.
All right, so just in terms of then the total rent intake from all sources, be it the tenant, be it a voucher, what would that be per month? Do you have a thumbnail on that?
We have what would be the total rent roll, James, for 2021?
Are you asking about the total rent in
No,
terms of?
for a unit, let's just keep it simple as a one
Yeah,
bedroom unit.
if you took the
And a
whole,
person is a Section 8, has Section 8 vouchers. How much rent is going to be paid dollar-wise by the tenant, and how much do you get from the Section 8 program?
Give me 1 second. So basically, so I mean, it's different for each unit type, but just for the, I guess for the discussion purpose, so for one bedroom, the total rents on the Section 8 vouchers would be about 1,600, and the 30%, the tenant, receiving that voucher, will pay 30% of that, so which is going to be around
30% of their, they'll pay 30% of their income,
right.
which we.
On top of that, on top of
No,
that,
No.
all in.
Yeah, the subsidy fills in the gap between what they're able to afford. And so if they actually lose their job or they get furloughed, they pay less, but then the subsidy increases from the voucher.
Okay.
And these are not project based, so that voucher holder could move out at any time. And so it's always fluctuating based on tenancy. And then if they move out, the next person who comes in would be limited to that. They'd be 30% of their income, but they'd be limited to the 60% AMI.
Are there any project-based vouchers?
No. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, that's part of these types of properties are more challenging to finance because you don't have the full predictability of the revenue. You have to, but yeah, these will all be restricted to the 60%. And then when we put on the tax credits, that is recasting that out. It'll be a new 15-year compliance period, and there'll be an additional 15 years beyond that. So for the next 30 years, this property will be restricted to the 60% AMI levels as a max.
All right, so in terms of mortgage recording and sales tax, you're looking for just under a million benefit for those two, right? 283.5, 644, yeah, between 900 and a million for those benefits. And pilot, Steve said you're hoping for an assignment from Spring Valley, and is it Clarkstown or Ramapo? Because I see on the application references to Clarkstown, but these are Ramapo.
Yeah. No, so this is, so I grew up and I grew up in Spring Valley and Rockland County, so did my partner. And it's interesting, this property I would have thought of as being in Spring Valley, but it's actually also in the town of Clarkstown as well. So it has the jurisdiction of the town of Clarkstown and the village of Spring Valley.
Okay, I learned something. I grew up in Spring Valley too.
Yeah, no, when I first saw it, I was like, no, that's not correct. I mean, I grew up there, and it's like, but it's interesting because, yeah, I guess there's overlaps for part of the village that these properties are in.
And Howard's family, I think, founded Spring Valley, right?
Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
Go right ahead, Tim.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Lakeview is all senior citizens and it's all one bedroom, correct?
It is correct that it's senior. There's a couple of studios and one bedrooms.
Okay, and Highview has up to 4 bedrooms, some of the apartments?
So Highview is a mix of 1 to 5 bedrooms.
Correct, okay. Now, when you do these renovations, is anybody gonna have to leave their apartment, or is it gonna be done with the people present?
So, yeah, I mean, I can speak a little bit to that. This is, we typically do tenant in place renovations. And so what happens is they leave their apartments during the day and the work's done and they come back to their apartment at night. And we usually have units that are open for them to go to. That is our expected case. Obviously, if something gets discovered in a unit that requires vacating, then that would change on a case by case. But right now that our plan is to do all tenant in place, which is typically what the residents prefer, to not have to leave the property.
Sure. Now, what's the occupancy rate right now? You know?
It's about 93, 94%.
Okay. Okay, and are you gonna manage the property when this is all done, or are you gonna have a third party come in and manage it?
So we don't do our own property. We do, we be the owners, and we typically hire third-party property management. Our plan here is to at least during this renovation period as we're going through, and is to retain the existing management that's there. And we think that that'll help make us a smooth transition in liaising with the residents during this process. But that's our plan right now.
Arco Management used to be the managing agent. Are they still there?
Yeah, it's still Jeff. So Jeff Goldstein's company. I
Okay.
mean, he has many different companies, but he's
Right.
he's the owner, and he's also his affiliated company is the management company. And so the plan is to retain them. They have to do a good job. If they don't do a good job, our contracts have 30-day type of outs and things like that. But yeah, that we found that with the third party management, it allows us to really make sure they're doing as they say they are. And if they aren't, we have the ability to replace.
Have you talked to any of the local taxing jurisdictions yet about a pilot? I'm not talking about assignment, but what their thoughts were pilot to go through the IDA.
We haven't mentioned the idea of going through the IDA for the pilot. We spoke with the town of Clarkstown. They seemed very supportive of the project, and they wanted us to. So they saw kind of the village of Spring Valley in a way as the lead from a municipality. So they wanted us to get the feedback from them, but they seemed to be on board. The village of Spring Valley, we're still trying to sit down with the mayor. He hasn't been as easy to get time with, but the plan is to sit down with him in the next week or two. But we've met with the councilman from the town of Clarkstown, Patrick Carroll, for the ward, is very excited about the project, and he's planning to come with us to the meeting or join us for the meeting with the mayor. And we've spoken with what's his name, Jeff Millman, at the council so we've started the process with the village, but we haven't met with the mayor yet.
I didn't see any reference to the school district in connection with the pilot. Are they a party to the pilot agreement?
For the town of Clarkstown.
That would probably be East Ramapo over there. I don't think that would be the Clarkstown School District. Yeah, that line I could definitely tell you.
Oh, interesting. Because based on the existing pilot, looks like the Clarkstown is the school district.
Is that right?
Really?
Wow.
So where is that it's referenced in the
In the
pilot?
existing pilot, correct.
Howard, that sound right to you?
No, it does not.
No.
Guys, Highview is up on the top of the hill. Maybe that's it. Now, Lakeview, which is the senior citizens, they wouldn't have any kids. So could Highview be in Clarkstown?
If it's on the hill, even no, because I grew up on the east side of the hill and I was East Ramapo over there.
Okay,
I mean, that's,
Yeah, no, my recollection, yeah, what I would have thought, but are you seeing, James, that you actually saw it written in there? It says Clarkstown School District in there as a,
That was my understanding. I can quickly double check.
because I went to the East Ramapo School District, and I remember classmate people who grew up on the hill, and they were definitely, I mean, that was included back then. So, but if the document says otherwise.
Now, one more question, if I may. When you guys renovate, I know those buildings are probably 50 years old, give or take. Are you going to renovate? Do you have to bring them up to code, so to speak? Because I know fire alarm and things of that nature have to be lacking in a lot of those buildings.
I mean, everything would be, that's a good question in terms of when you say bring it up to code. We do have, we would be, I'm looking at the scope of work right now. It includes, kitchen renovations, bathrooms, new lighting, new painting, new flooring, new siding, new roofing, new boiler replacement, enhanced security. So we have a pretty robust scope, and we work with an architect that's very familiar with what the requirements are. So we'd be definitely, that was taken into account when we put together the scope.
Okay.
Have you also put into play any ADA compliance review as far as the property's accessibility is concerned? If you,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that would
we-
definitely, go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, absolutely. It's something, again, we review with our architect to see what the requirements are. Based on the proposed financing and the subsidy that's at this property, we're reviewing that with our engineer and architect to see what requirements it triggers and if some units should be converted to ADA. Usually it's a small percentage of them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with tax credits and all the requirements of them, they're usually the most stringent of our type of financing, and so we would be, meeting all the standards there. And then HFA provides tax credit. They would provide tax credits, and then there'll be certain requirements that we'll be meeting.
How much do tax credits go for these days? What are you getting paid for them?
I think we're estimating about 90 cents, right, James, for this?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, there was a time when they were like $1.05 or $1 something, but it'll depend on what happens with the tax rate. If that goes up, then that could increase the value.
Well, there were times there were 78 cents.
All right, so yeah, I guess
I can talk from experience.
I guess you could look at it as being, yeah, I was comparing it to how high it was. But yeah, there was a time when it went really, really low, and so we're in a spot that's not so bad right now, but it's not what it was like a few years ago.
Which state agency are you working with? That's
So HFA we'd be submitting an application to New York State HFA, right, for the tax credits.
Correct,
And
yeah.
they would be the ones who are, granting the 4% credit.
Did your proposed building to be get damaged by the fire?
There was some minor, that was a pretty scary fire. I don't think I've seen something like that in a long time, but I think there was some damage that was getting repaired, that they had insurance out there and they were but it was, James, do you know, can you speak more, what was the damage that was done to the
Yeah, so it
property?
was just the one building which had some smoke damage and a little bit of a flooding. But yeah, we've been having a close conversation with Jeff, and he's in the process of fixing those damages.
okay, now in terms of the benefits you're seeking, there is a menu of benefits. I mean, you're going to go for the bond financing, pilot, and then you go to the sales tax and mortgage recording tax. In terms of your flexibility, because you don't necessarily, we could certainly say we're okay with some of the benefits, none of the benefits, all of the benefits. So in terms of flexibility on the benefits, if there's no flexibility, your desire is to go forward with the entire ask that you have on your application without any room for discussion on flexibility of which benefits you really want or need or are willing to forego.
Well, the pilot would be one that I think was put on there, I think, as a potential like backup option, or plan B, I guess, if we don't get everything that we want. But that was one that we are planning to work with the town and the village to assume and work with them on the pilots. That was something that was recommended as potentially to keep the option open, but that isn't one that I would say is a need. I mean, really these projects, in terms of piecing all together, we go through, you typically find out that the scope of work, we do 100% of unit walkthroughs. You go through, you end up finding out that there's more work that you kind of need to do, and budgets usually go up. And so you try and, really all these benefits are going to go towards really trying to make sure we do the full scope. And so we try to get as much as we can so that we have the room to do the budget. So there's nothing there that I guess it would be a conversation if there's anything in there that we're requesting that you think, maybe more challenging to get. But yeah, I think our,
I'm just talking more abstractly because none of us certainly have spoken to decide beforehand what willing or not willing to do. But in terms of, let's talk about the dollars involved in the sales tax and the mortgage recording tax. And I said it's between 900 and $1 million. If, for instance, someone was of the mind that there's not enough job creation or that there's not enough of a public benefit for those particular items versus the bonds, which obviously the bonds is just a matter of percentages of how much you pay on the financing. And the pilot, you would be negotiating with the local taxing jurisdictions assuming you don't get an assignment of the other pilot agreements. So what I'm asking is, are you 100% committed to those sales tax and mortgage recording tax numbers to go forward, or have you thought about, or would you think about maybe foregoing those in favor of just the bond financing and the pilot?
we'd like those, and I think the way we were, and we typically, when we do these types of financing, that is sort of very commonplace that you would get these kind of benefits. So we were kind of counting on it. I mean, if somehow we didn't, when we look at our scope, there's probably some items that are the sort of your base scope and of the project that you do that are like, you must do, you have to do. And then we try to fill in as much like nice to have. So it probably would force us to relook to make sure we put, I think we really want to do this project. We will figure out a way to make it work. But yeah, the more benefits we get, I think the better project we can do.
Anyone else have any
Yeah,
additional?
I do. As a follow-up to what you were saying, Eric, as far as the sales tax, the kind of equipment when you're renovating these apartments, you're saying that the residents will just be removed for the day. So how extensive of you're not going to be changing then the layout of the apartment? You'll just be like kind of like putting new refrigerators in? Is that the kind of thing you're saying? New carpeting? Is that what you're?
Well, no. So what we do is we typically finish a few units, and so we'll kind of keep a few units vacant so that we can move them to these new units. But we're going to be doing new kitchen upgrades with new countertops, cabinets, appliances, new energy saving toilets, faucets, shower heads, new painting, new flooring, new lighting. So it's a pretty meaningful upgrade. We're not changing any layouts. We're not knocking down walls, but it's really modernizing and bringing things up to a really much higher standard. I think once the residents see it, it's going to really, you're going to be really excited about it. And I think when you see people investing into the project, giving you a nicer home, I think it really has a nice ripple effect on a lot of things within your lives and in the community. And so this is going to be a real transformative type project. And we're doing a project up front. There's going to be like the big renovation, but something that we take a lot of pride in is we're really big on maintaining and continuing to keep it up at that level. And we're long-term owners, and that's our plan. That'll be our plan here too.
Jason, if I might ask a question, I'm sure it's in the app and I probably could look at it. When were these units built?
In the 70s.
In the 70s. Has there been any substantive renovation of these since they were built, other than repair and things like that?
Like 15 years ago, right? They didn't.
Right. Yeah, so they actually went through a tax credit rehab back in 2006.
They
it's
still,
been
yeah,
50
they
yeah.
definitely need, there's needs there. But yeah, no, but what's good is that because of that, it allows us to really spend the money to really bring it, really make a meaningful difference. And, you know, there'll be some deferred maintenance and stuff, but we could really improve the systems and improve really the interiors and the common spaces that the residents are going to see.
I would also just mention that on all of our preservation projects, a part of the budget and scope of work is dedicated to ongoing security enhancements at these properties. I think that's important to point out for the communities where they are. You know, it's something we've already begun to diligence. We have a third party that comes on site with us, a security specialist, and we put together like a really thoughtful plan for that building or that development. And, you know, Lakeview and Highview being garden style, spread out, almost like campus style. Yeah, we'll have like a really thoughtful security and an ongoing monitoring plan for that. And so I do think that's worthwhile pointing out as it's part of the kind of the bigger picture of what we do.
Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
Just want to just reiterate that the fire system and sprinklers will be 2021 compliant.
So
Yeah, we'll go back to we don't have our construction team on the call, and that'll be something we could totally, but everything would be compliant for current standards. That's getting into more details of, you know, that we could kind of definitely respond back on that if.
And now I know Steve sent us all the inducement resolution last night or yesterday, right? That's when it was you sent us the amended?
Yes.
All right. So, you know, before anyone decides to move that resolution, we just ask you to take a look to see if there are any things that you would like to tinker with or not, or if you just want to move the resolution as it is. And by that, I probably would go down just the third whereas clause, if you have it handy, because that sets forth what the benefits would be to be induced. The tax exempt bonds, sales tax exemptions, which equals about 644,000 and change. Mortgage recording tax, which I think was 200. What's the number on the mortgage recording? It's not listed in.
The 1% of the
Yeah.
mortgage amount.
Yeah, I'm not going to calculate that one in my head, Ron. It says it's 283,500 would be the actual mortgage recording.
1.05%.
Want to check the math, Stephen?
I will do that as we speak.
I'm reading from the application, their 1.05% calculation. All right. Yeah. And then finally, the ability to negotiate the pilot with local taxing jurisdictions. So those are the options if everyone.
In the mortgage tax is 283,500.
I know, I said that.
Oh, okay.
You've been married too long. You're not listening to me anymore.
Actually, Sheila accused me of that this morning.
Okay. All right. So,
Accused you of being married to Eric, did you say?
oh, now he wakes up. Okay.
Now his comments.
Thank you,
And it's-
Counselor.
And I just want, there's 6 jobs that are associated with it. Did I see that correctly?
Well, those are at the property, and then, yeah, and then but the renovation project's going to create, you know, jobs during the construction. Those are the jobs, right, James, that are at the property?
That's correct.
For
Yes. Those are
operation.
those are the full-time employees at the current properties.
Your employees or the third party?
Third party.
All right. So, does anyone have any thoughts on the resolution? the resolution?
I will move it.
Okay, anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right, Stephen, call the roll.
Okay, Peg Zugby,
Yes,
Tim Riley,
Yes,
Howard Hellman,
Yes,
Eric Dranoff.
Yes,
Okay. All right, you guys are induced. So, we have an inducement resolution, just from a process standpoint is, we'll sign it, of course, and then I will send it over to the county executive for his signature. I know you guys had timing issues. I will get that out to him right away. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of his schedule or if he's, around, but he's pretty quick as far as signing that, and then we send it to you for signature. So it's fully executed. As far as other next steps, some things that we'll talk about, of course, and we can talk about the timing of this and the timing of your project is there will be a public hearing, which you're not obligated to attend. There's an authorizing resolution by this board that follows the public hearing. Usually it's the next regular meeting after the public hearing is held. And of course, all of this is also concurrent to this, is we'll be reaching out to the state and doing a little bit more of a formal process as far as a volume cap. Anything I'm missing, Ron, or anything that, or Dan?
No, I don't think so. I just want to reiterate that because we're working with multiple government agencies, there'll be HUD, HFA, and yourselves, and possibly the taxing jurisdictions. There are multiple factors that will be affecting the scheduling, and we'll all have to work together to get a cohesive schedule.
And just also, just so the board's aware, and I just want to reconfirm, I think you were talking about your plan at this point is a third quarter closing. Is that still seem to be the plan?
Yes,
that's
it is.
correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
and we're gonna have any more special meetings between now and then? Because we are a special group and I love special meetings. All right, so we're
Hey,
good.
Jason, where did you grow up in Spring Valley?
So I grew up not too far from Ramapo High School, off of Southgate, and
I spent a lot of time in Southgate, that area.
both my parents were teachers, well, in education. My dad was in the North Rockland School District.
oh, you're Izzy's son?
I am Izzy's son, yes.
It's like old home week.
Oh, that's
I said hello, please.
all right. No, that's great. Yeah, so you know my dad. That's great. Yeah, my mother was a teacher in the East Ramapo district as well.
Where'd she teach?
What was that?
Where did she teach? I went all through East Ramapo from elementary on.
At Ramapo. She was at Pomona and then Ramapo High School.
It's probably after my time then.
And I think a while back, she might have been at Spring Valley High School.
Yeah.
And I went through the Ramapo School District twice.
Well, you got it right the second time, Howard.
Not really.
Okay. All right, well, thanks all for coming by.
Great project, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, no, we're excited. We're excited. This is going to be a great one, and hopefully it'll be the first of others. But yeah, we're really, our whole team's excited to do something in our hometown, and it's going to be, you'll be proud of what we'll be able to do as well. That's the goal.
As long as Izzy is proud.
That's a good standard. That's a good standard.
Alex, James hasn't met Alex has met my dad. He's definitely a proud dad, and he'll be if we ever do a ribbon cutting here or something.
Yeah, he comes to our ribbon cuttings.
Yeah, he'll be there. So.
All right, Stephen, why don't you read the minutes for us, okay?
sure. And I just we have one other quick thing I wanted to talk. So you guys are good. If you don't have to stick around if you don't want to, you're all done. So we'll let you go if you'd like.
Okay.
And I just wanted to, as we talked about, Eric, as far as this other matter that popped up. As far as like the county executive, you all, just very quickly, you all received an email from me from the county executive regarding that article, opinion letter in the Journal News.
Thought we were deferring that to our regular meeting.
We are, and that's what I was gonna say.
All right, so we'll step out, but it was great meeting everyone here and we're looking forward to
We'll
working.
be
Good
in
luck to all of you.
Thanks for your time.
All right,
everyone.
thanks so much.
Good luck,
To
everyone.
meet you.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, my point was, I discussed it with Eric, and of course, what we'll do is I'll put that on the agenda for a bit of a more formal discussion at our May meeting. That works for everybody.
That works.
Which is in person, correct?
But, excuse me?
The May meeting is going to be in person?
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to.
Well, yeah, it's up to you guys. I have to find pants if we're going to do it in person.
Why, Tim?
and we're still recording, so,
That's okay. No one stepped over the line yet.
okay.
All right.
All right, so we want to do a live meeting. Okay, I'll be in touch, we'll make sure that we have, I know we have some suggestions as far as where to do that. We can talk about where, but I'll make sure that it's, still comfortable enough, that we're a little spread out, that we're not, we won't be meeting at the, in the conference room at like Montalbano. They're still not doing that, so.
All right, let's
I'll
talk
find a
about
bigger room.
that. Let's have a meeting about where we have our next meeting, okay?
Just pick a place.
All right, read the minutes, Stephen.
Okay, meeting was. Okay, meeting was called to order at 9 o'clock. I'll put the members that were here that were present, along with the councils. Meeting began with the board considered an action on regarding the inducement of the Spring Valley Preservation Project. Council Ron Grosser provided an overview of the project. Ms. Porras just did a brief discussion of the requested benefits. The board asked a variety of questions, including Chair Dranoff asking what the rents would be, with the applicant explaining the rental mechanisms and percentages of the residents. Member Tim Riley asked questions regarding the number of bedrooms and the nature of the makeup, like at Lakeview and also at Highview. Tenant did confirm that Lakeview is mostly senior citizens in one bedrooms, and Highview is a mix of various size bedrooms. Question was asked if the tenants will be displaced during the renovation. The applicant responded that the plan is to do the renovations with tenants in place. The question was asked who would manage the property. They answered that it would be a third-party management, with the intent being the existing management for continuity would stay in place. Questions were asked regarding bringing the nature of the renovations involving, do they have to be brought up to code? The application is, the applicant indicated yes. There were a variety of other questions. Chair Dranoff asked is regarding flexibility of the benefits. The applicant responded that while their intent is to keep the existing pilot in place, that would be the one that they would consider flexible, but that they indicated that the benefits were all factored, they requested were factored into their financials, and that their intent was that the more benefits they receive, the better the project would be. With no other questions, motion was made by Howard Hellman, seconded by Tim Riley. All in favor?
Okay, anyone have any additions or suggestions? The minutes?
Can you just make sure it includes that they were gonna check on the fire code?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good addition, Peck.
Okay,
And sprinklers?
Mm-hmm. All right, anyone want to move for approval of those minutes?
I'll move it.
Second.
All right, all in favor, show of hands. All right. Okay, we're good. Well, thanks for dropping in, everyone.
yes, thank you, everybody, for doing the special meeting. Okay, and like I said, we'll go forward. We're having a busy year, so.
Good. Knock wood. Take care, everyone.
Great week.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Howard, you still there? No, never mind.
Nah, never mind.
Be good, Eric.
Yeah. Take
Okay.
care, brother.
All right, see you all. Bye-bye.